Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. I was at a send forth party for my guests. And when he came to meet me, he said, well, I am 60 and I belong to the guests that come on your program. I said, indeed, another treasure we must preserve.
Charles Obiamaka Ojugbana is a renowned sports analyst, commentator, former director of the Federal Ministry of Information, Nigeria. He is currently the managing editor of the Nigeria Monthly magazine and board member of the News Agency of Nigeria. Born on 30th November 1959, Charles hails from Oshimili South of Delta State. He attended the University Primary School in Nsukka in 1972 and St. Teresa's Secondary School also in Nsukka in 1977. To further his education, he attended the University of Benin, where he obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in English and Literature. He also has participated in various courses abroad. Charles began his journalism career as a core member with the Nigerian Television Authority in Lagos. He was retained after his service here and later grew to the position of a senior sports editor. He also worked for the Nigerian Football Association, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and other private organizations. In 2019, he resigned as Director of Information from the Federal Ministry of Information, Abuja. Charles is a member of various professional organizations and has served as a board member of the Nigerian Football Association and other boards. He is currently the Information and Communications Officer for the Nigeria Polychlorinated Biphenyls Management Project, a program designed to draw awareness to the health dangers associated with exposure to transformer oils. His love for sports and the arts availed him the opportunity to attend several sporting events and film festivals around the globe. Charles is also a choice compere and has moderated numerous high-profile events, both local and international. He is married and has 4 children.
Welcome, first of all, to the program. And I'm glad you have made that 60 mark. Let's talk about your early, childhood memories. What do you recall in your growing up days about life?
Well, I was born in the north. I schooled in the east. I served in the west. And I ended up working up north.
Well then.
So I think I'm one of the
Nigeria.
most qualified true Nigerian. Yeah. So, but growing up in the north and part of it in the east was really, really very interesting in the sense that it's a completely different scenario with what we have today. And when I look back and compare with what I see today, it's frightening, really.
My memory of you and your work did not start until when it was beginning to look like, people like Yinka Craig and the rest of them were going off. And there was nobody to replace them. And suddenly you came with some sort of breath of fresh air, didn't you?
Well, yes.
Where were you coming from?
Actually, from nowhere. I had a sporting background in school, and I was crazy about football like every other young boy. I also played hockey in addition to soccer. And then when I went on youth service, I was lucky to be posted to the NTA Channel 5 until one fine afternoon I ran onto a gentleman who had been my lifelong hero, and who was that but the same one and only great Yinka Craig of blessed memory.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, what are you doing here? I said, I'm just a copper. Oh, yes, so you know me? I said, why not? Of course, You're my hero. You like sports? I said, yes. You want to work with me? I said, oh, I wish it's possible. But I'm already here. He said, no, if you really want to, we could look at it.
What made you a sports commentator? I mean, just merely listening to Yinka Craig? Was that?
No, it wasn't only Yinka because I must confess it started long before Yinka. When I listened to some of my great heroes, particularly somebody like Ernest Okonkwo, who, though on radio, made commentary so colorful and so visually, accessible, as it were then, that it became an art. And those terminologies, long ballistic missiles, the mathematical Odegbami, the Chief Justice Adokemes, he had a way, hey, with words, he was a wordsmith. And then I now began to see myself as somebody who one day maybe could attempt to do things like that. And so,
And when it happened, what was this day? Can you recall?
fate played a very fast one on me one day. And then it did happen that all my colleagues who were full-time staff happened not to be around one particular Tuesday morning. And in walked in a gentleman for a TV interview. And guess who that was? Former world heavyweight boxing champion of the world, George Foreman.
Oh, George Foreman. Okay.
And Yinka wasn't around, and all I got was a phone call saying, well, you're the only one there, so you got to take it. And I said, take what? So you got to go to the studio and interview who? He said, well, I don't know how you're going to do it, but you just do it. So, well, one thing led to another, and then I found myself there, and I tried to mimic what I had seen them do. And
But with a lot of butterflies in your,
of course,
in your stomach.
of course. So I never knew that was anything. The following day, that story hit the network news, 9 o'clock. And then we used to have what we call the midweek sports, a sports magazine that came in at the middle of every week on Wednesdays. And then Yinka began to gradually introduce me to the audience. And, I could do interviews, I could do cutaways, and I started presenting midweek sports.
And
then
that was
Saturday
the
sports.
beginning of your journey.
Sure. And then, of course, with it came the opportunity to travel all over the world, which was indeed one of my greatest and best
How many
moments.
countries would you say you traveled to in respect of sports commentating?
If I tell you
Sports coverage.
I have an accurate number, I'll just be lying. Let's just say I've been over the world, around the world, several times over,
I mean, in all of this, you'd always encounter high moments and then low moments. Which was your highest point?
My highest point was actually going to the World Cup in Mexico, Echatan Tres, Mexico 1983. So because that was the opportunity I had to meet the great Diego Armando Maradona live.
Wow. So when did you start getting restless? I mean, it's like the low points in that career.
The low points in my career actually came in Africa. In certain parts of Africa till date, sports is actually the cause of a lot of tension because of the win at all cost syndrome. I had two very bitter experiences. One in Abidjan at the Houphouët-Boigny Stadium in Ivory Coast. I went to cover a Iwoyan National then, and we were on the second leg. We had played a goalless draw at home, and then we went to Abidjan for the return leg. And of course, the Ivorians were known for voodoo, African juju, and they understood, and it was a given that the match had been won by them. So, but at halftime, the Nigerian team was leading by 1-0, and they just couldn't take it. So at the start of the second half, I was just seated, holding my microphone beside the coach of Iwoyan National, and then the next thing I had was missiles started raining, and then Iwoyan National then used to wear all red. So I just looked to my left, and I saw something land on the head of the coach, and then the next thing there was a fountain of blood gushing off, and then all his red outfit was all. And then there was tear gas, and there was, everybody, including the Nigerian ambassador,
It took to your heels.
But that was even good. The worst was in Congo Kinshasa. I was working with the NFA as Assistant Secretary General in charge of international affairs, and I was helping to lead the delegation that went to play a game with Eagle Cement of Port Harcourt. And then at that unfortunate incident, the story had gone that in the first leg in Nigeria that we maltreated the Congolese team, but that was a bloody lie. So when we arrived, we were told from the airport that, we're in for something very, very hot. And we thought it was all a joke until the day of the match. We walked into the stadium, and then there were all kinds of herbalists and juju men on the hallway, and everywhere. It was just the best. But somehow, we went in, we played the first half, and it was still goalless. And then we now went for the recess. To come out for the second half, they turned off the lights on the tunnel. And people with cudgels and knives and stones and all kinds of things were beating and maiming, and every one of my players. In fact, my leader of delegation, a Calabari chief who was well dressed in, their resplendent outfit, was abducted because they thought that the Nigerian juju was somewhere hidden in this outfit. I went with great Felix Owolabi on that match, and then by the time I pushed the players onto the field, I found that half of my players were already collapsed, bleeding. Felix Owolabi was unconscious, and I was bleeding, but I wasn't even thinking about myself, So, but the journalistic instinct in me, just struck a chord, and I told the cameraman to keep recording, keep recording, keep recording, keep recording, keep recording. And he was recording until somebody noticed him and came for him, But just before they got out, I said, bring out that tape, bring out that tape. He brought it and gave it to me, and I put it in my pocket, and then they took him away.
Smart.
Now, that tape was what we used to make a protest to CAF, and that stadium was banned for 2 years. But since then, I've never been too eager to go back to Congo.
Was it a sad day for you, the day you left, the sports ministry?
Yes, I would say it was sad because I never in my wildest imagination thought that sports or things around the sporting arena were going to, be taken to levels that were unheard of. There were too many unspeakable things that were happening in and around the glass house then, as it was called, the Nigerian Football Federation headquarters, that I personally felt that nothing in this world was really worth that kind of, attitude or desperation or get it at all costs,
And at that time, okay, you sat back, reflected on it, and decided to move on.
Oh yes.
And what did you do?
Yeah, I decided to go back to the mainstream of administration. So I went to my core, area of competence, which was journalism and media. So I went back to the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, from where I retired.
That was where you retired from, at the age of 60.
Yeah.
When I caught you crying with your wife by your side, consoling you, because you appear to be a very emotional person.
You know that thing they say that when a man is about to die, your entire life flashes, in a moment. So at that particular point in time at the reception, my entire civil service career flashed through me. And what I saw was this incredible, lucky young man who had hopped through all the obstacles that was placed, right around his career. And it wasn't just one, it wasn't two, it wasn't three, it wasn't 10, it wasn't 20, and it wasn't 30. And I just said to myself, did I really, really, really deserve this from God? And, that got the better part of me. So.
You don't look a 60-year-old man, I mean, from the last day you stopped going to work on a daily basis, what have you been doing?
Working.
So you're not really retired, only retired from the service then?
You see, people make a lot of mistakes. People believe that retirement means go home,
And
sleep in the morning, sleep in the afternoon.
Isn't it what it represented then?
No.
That,
you would die
retired from the civil
You would
service,
die very fast if you do that.
You read papers in the morning,
No, you know,
Eat your normal akara and moi moi or whatever it
no,
is, and then
no,
go to bed.
it depends on the routine you've come up with.
Are you done with government appointments? You know?
Why? I'm a Nigerian. Why? You mean if you vote me to be president, I should say no?
Pick a question.
Okay. Oh, yeah. There we are.
That's a long one. Can't read.
What would you say are your legacies having served over 30 years and more in the civil service? Well, I would say that first and foremost, I've been able to impact on quite a handful of junior officers whom I tried to mentor and prepare for life. And I feel that if majority of them, you know, take after some of the things we passed on, then they were going to be better civil servants than the ordinary would have been. The other legacies which I think I would like to be remembered for were in sports, being able to turn around the Nigerian Professional Football League, especially as it had to do with the issue of bribery, having to play on lush green pitches and enforcing discipline and bans on teams and fans that err. And then on the international scene, being able to get Nigeria to earn and realize income from international friendly matches. It was during my tenure that I insisted that for every international friendly match that Nigeria played, we had to be paid for it. I got as much as $250,000 for each outing. I got 35 business class tickets for the players and the crew, air-conditioned buses, a minivan for kids, and then 2 extra luxury vehicles for leaders of delegation. And I'm quite happy that after I left, that became like the norm.
Nigeria is participating in the 2020 Olympics. If you were there, how would you be preparing for it?
How would I have prepared for it? Because, Danny, people don't prepare for the Olympic Games in months. You prepared for the Olympics in years.
But was that your experience in NTA?
Yes, that was my experience in sports generally, that we always believe in this last 11th hour, preparation. It doesn't work. The athletes who will represent the United States of America in the Olympic Games for year 2024 are already all known, are training, are being primed, are being fed towards giving their maximum output in 2024. I'm not talking about Tokyo.
Is there something wrong with our sports administration? Because this has been on for years. Is there something that needs to really, stir the waters?
Yes, of course. I mean, let me give an example. I'm sure you know much earlier than now. We used to have the Adebayo Cup, the Manoa Cup, the Greater Tomorrow, the Academicals, the Nigeria-Ghana Sports Festival, Nuga Games, WAUG, FISU, even World University Games. All Nigerian athletes and sportsmen of note came through those ranks. All of them. Whether it was Humphrey Dobo, whether it was Henry Nwosu, whether it was Mary Onyali, whether it was Innocent Egbunike or Chidi Imo, you must start from somewhere. You don't start from the Olympic Games. You end at the Olympic Games.
Have you ever taken bribe or tempted, to receive bribe in all your career?
No, not at all. Because
What do you think is going on with Samson Siasia?
Well, what has gone wrong with Samson Siasia is not new. It's been going on for so long, and I'm not trying to, play the devil's advocate here for anybody. But, like you rightly pointed out, a lot of ills have been going on in sports. It's not only bribery. We've had doping. We had case of cheating. We have had age falsification. Remember, even Nigeria has been banned several times in the youth tournaments for parading players whose passport ages do not, rhyme with what they have on their birth certificates. We've had issues of people who are superstars in under 17 this year, and next year they fizzle out so bad that they can't even play football anymore. They're almost on walking stick, because they were old men and they were competing as under 17. So the world has gone beyond all that. We have gone beyond all that. All you need to do is identify them early enough, groom them, and then expose them. And then, of course, they'll give you the best. But that takes a lot. Because if I tell you the bitter example of Nigerian sports, I can just use only one item to illustrate it. The MKO Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Built in 1985? 95. Now ask yourself, when last did a sporting event of any coloration take place there? But you and I drive there every morning and every evening. All people who live in Abuja.
Why do you think that is so?
I'm just asking you. That facility was built as one of the best in the world by Julius Berger. It still is one of the best. It has all facilities you can think about, including a 5-star hotel that was never built. But let's talk about just the main bowl pitch itself. When last did you see 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people clap? Say, oh, goal for Nigeria. Oh, go, get that gold medal in 100 meters. When last? That's our national stadium. That's our edifice.
In spite of all these times you have, a very busy schedule, you found time to look for a woman that will live with you forever. How did it happen?
Well, that's another interesting part of chapter in my life.
Yeah, because I know that you're almost inseparable, not twins, but you seem to.
Yes, you're very correct there. But I think the day I met my wife, I never knew I was going to meet my life partner. It happened so fast and so real, and I've not looked back since then. We met at the party. The party was organized for me to meet some other women or some other girls. She was not anywhere close to the equation. But like they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, people seem to say, if you were to choose between your mother and your wife.
That's a tough call. But I tell you something very interesting. My wife was very fond of my late mom, and vice versa.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, because you could as well say they were twins. When I look at her, I just see my late mom.
And you have lovely children, don't you? How many are there?
I have 4.
Yeah?
I'm lucky to have 4. 3 girls and a boy.
I know one of them is a lawyer.
Yes.
Yes.
I have 3 girls and a boy.
Right, this is the time to take you out of the usual life. Going to live on the mountaintop for 10 days will cast you away. What 5 items will you take along with you?
I can go with my phone.
Yes.
Can go with a novel.
Yeah. What kind of novel?
I read.
Do you read a lot?
Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I love romantic novels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you romantic?
And some action, yes.
Have you demonstrated it?
Why not? That's
What do you call your wife?
Sorry?
In a romantic way.
How do I call her? You want to know the bedroom name, eh?
Yeah.
No, not on national television. She's going to kill me.
Really? Okay, you're revealing a secret. That's all right. So what else might you want to take along?
My music set.
You love music, obviously.
Okay.
What kind of music touches you the most?
Actually, I have a large appetite for all kinds of music. Jazz, makossa, high life, R&B, contemporary, Latino, you name it. I just love souk, merengue, reggae. I just love music.
Thank you, Charles Ojugbana. It's been a wonderful time.
Thank you, man. It's been my
So
pleasure.
you're welcome to that group that we refer to as our treasures. Okay? You must not be forgotten. You've done well, and we're proud of you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you once again for being on the program.
It's been my wonderful pleasure, and I look forward to serving humanity in any capacity I find myself.
Right. Say one simple word to your wife.
You know I love you.
On that note, it's been The Chat with Charles Ojugbana. I am Manny. See you next time. The Chat is produced by Channels Television. You can watch it again online. Just visit our social media platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.